The most important component in life is buying and selling. Now, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I graduated high school. I graduated undergrad. I did my MBA. I was awarded a PhD for the work that I do. Nowhere has anyone taught me how to buy and how to sell. Everything that you ever have, right down to the clothes that you wear on your back, is because someone sold it to you. Yes, we balled out a little bit and threw a pool in the back and a pool house and an outdoor fireplace and all the things, but I did that really because I wanted to be able to take care of my parents. The feeling that I felt when I was able to buy my first home was second to none. It was paramount. I bought my house, I felt like it was very much so a blank canvas, and it allowed me to express my gratitude. Just to give you a little bit of background, I'm from Newark, New Jersey, okay? I am from the Ivy Hill section of Newark, New Jersey. I actually lived in Ivy Hill apartments. I was probably like 3 or 4, and then we moved out from there, but I have lived in apartments my whole life. And so when I started house hunting, even the ability to be able to say that I was house hunting, it was an awesome experience for me. And I would say I am that person that before I bought my house, I went ahead and I got my real estate license. So I was my own real estate agent. And when you're house hunting and you're a real estate agent, you're like a kid in a candy store. So I was just going everywhere and I was looking at all different kinds of things. And I saw this beautiful home I totally fell in love with. And of course, it was way out of budget for me. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna create this feel into something else. Like, my whole life has been a journey to find home. I moved over 40 times by the time I was 20 years old. I had it with moving. Literally every year, sometimes even twice a year, my mom would move us from one apartment to the next. We actually moved one time 6 times right next door. Why? Because the landlord would come to her and say, hey, if you're paying $750 over here, I'll charge you $700. And then the next landlord was like, well, hey, if you pay $700 a month over here, I'll have you do $650 per month. And we would move every year just so that my mom could save $50 on rent every month. And I guess that was a lot of money at that time, and especially considering our circumstances, but the stress to have to pack up everything that you own and move. Even at one point in time, I was virtually living out of my car, where I would come down to Delaware. I was going to school at the time, and I didn't have a job yet, so I couldn't afford an apartment. And I would go down to Towson University, hang out with my girlfriend there for a day or two, and then I would come up on the weekends. It was a mess. I had a system, and anybody who has lived outside of their car, has done any house hopping or couch surfing, you know how that is. Especially when you're responsible, right? You don't want to sit in anyone's house for too long. And so I would go at one person's house for maybe a day or two, and then I would go to someone else's house for a night, and I had my schedule of that's what I would do, just so that I didn't get on anybody's nerves for too long. But I'm gonna tell you, the feeling that I felt when I was able to buy my first home was second to none. It was paramount. I bought my house, I felt like it was very much so a blank canvas, and it allowed me to express my gratitude. And I wanted to make sure that we bought a house that had more rooms than what we needed. And the reason for that is because so many people have opened their doors to me to allow me to stay with them when I was really going through some rough times. And I always wanted to make sure that I had extra rooms in my house available, just in case I had a friend or a loved one that was hitting upon hard times. And we've been able to use that several times over. I think some people think when you are teaching people about how to grow their business, it's all about the money, and it's all about all the fancy things and the jewelry and the big old cars and everything that you can drive. But it's about peace, and it's about freedom for me. That was a major part of the plan. I don't live in any big old house. I don't live in excess. At least I don't perceive it to be that way. I live in what I perceive to be a normal size house. I think the average square footage in America is 2,500 to 3,000 square feet. My house is not too far off from that. Yes, we balled out a little bit and threw a pool in the back and a pool house and an outdoor fireplace and all the things. But, I did that really because I wanted to be able to take care of my parents. We have a mother-in-law suite in my basement, and I installed a kitchenette down there for my mom. And that was well before she even moved in, by the way. She moved in after she took sick. But I put a little kitchenette down there for her. I installed a bathroom down there for her. And then I built the pool house. The point of the pool house, right now I use the pool house as my studio for work, but the pool house is for my dad. That's why I built the pool house. The pool house is like the retirement space for my dad. And I didn't want them to lose out on any of the amenities that they would receive if I put them in like a nursing home. So here they have everything that they can ever want. They have the pool, they have the jacuzzi, there's even a garden in the back of the yard so that they can do gardening. You know, it's not even for me, it's for them. And the truth is, everything that I've been able to do for myself, I want this for everyone. I want everyone who wants to do this for their family, who wants to do this for their loved ones. Have you ever been in a situation where it's like, you can't even depend on anyone? Like you're in a situation and you're going through tough times and there's no one out there to help you because everybody's broke. That's what this is about. And when we really think about it, like God is a provider and we are his children. If God provides for us, God allows us to be a provider for others as well. And in doing so, like you might think it'd be a small thing. You know, if a friend called you up for a couple of bucks, you might think it a small thing, but to them, it's the world. And that's what I'd love to be for the world. I'd love to be a conduit for God in serving and in loving on people the way in which they need to be served and the way in which they need to be loved. And, you know, we established the Whoosh Effect a couple of years ago. Whoosh stands for who's holy, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, and our supernatural helper. So that's what that stands for. But Whoosh is really all about kingdom building. And one of the things that I've noticed is that the kingdom is broke. a lot of people in the church don't have the money. They don't have the money to support all the wonderful initiatives that they want to do. And I felt like this was an opportunity to love on people in a way that they can understand and know, right? Financial building, listen, I don't got no Maserati out here, okay? I'm driving a minivan because I'm not into cars like that. That's not my thing, right? Maybe, if anything, I'm probably more so into like my home and making sure my home is a welcoming place so that when people come over and maybe if they're going through a tough time, they have a wonderful place to stay. My ultimate goal has always been to serve. And what I want for the church, like I am the church, and I want those of us who desire to do more. Like Jesus couldn't even do his work without meeting the needs first of the people. If I'm hungry, I'm blind, if I'm deaf, and if I'm dumb, how are you going to be able to preach the gospel to me in any way, shape, or form? That's what it's about for me. I mean, I've served on church boards and I have worked intimately with building youth ministries, and I've virtually spent my whole life doing that. And for, you know, I took a break from church because y'all know church, okay. I took a little bit of break. I was going through some personal things in my personal life and I needed a breather. And I'm glad for that time, but now it's time to get to work. And I think that's really what the Whoosh Effect is all about. That's really what Win Big Bids, which is the first leg of our operations, is all about, is to create freedom, to create a sense of peace. I sleep very well at night, knowing that God is my provider. And let's be very clear. People think that just because you've run into money, that you always have the money to do things, right? Like this whole Win Big Bids campaign, I have invested over $1.5 million into this effort. And I'm going to tell you, it has been sacrificial. Why do I share that with you? Because I want you to know what has gone into this for you to win big. And I think the tools that we are building are second to none. And we are slowly rolling them out piece by piece. Throughout the last year and a half, I would say, we've kind of had a few pilot programs. We wanted to test. We wanted to see that what we teach and what we do really works. And we understand some of the challenges. So we have built a mirage of various programs dedicated to serve and dedicated to help. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, Alison, why don't I just go work for, or why don't I just go to one of these free programs, these free government programs, or these free business building programs? I'm gonna ask you this question. Public education was free, am I right? Has it provided you with the information that you need to be a shark out in the marketplace? I'm waiting. Has it provided you with the information that you need? Even better, the most important component in life is buying and selling. Now, I'm gonna tell you straight up. I graduated high school. I graduated undergrad. I did my MBA. I was awarded a PhD for the work that I do. Nowhere has anyone taught me how to buy and how to sell. Everything that you ever have, right down to the clothes that you wear on your back, is because someone sold it to you. It's because you bought it. Now, how do you know what you're buying is of good value? Where they teach you that at in school? How do you negotiate? What are the 10 pillars of negotiations? Have they taught you that in your free government or business program or class? Let me explain this. The government is in the business of creating an equitable environment where everyone can flourish, where everyone can grow. Now, they put everything in buckets. So there's a bucket for Black people, bucket for women, because these are groups that are socio and economically disadvantaged, okay? So if you have these socio and economically disadvantaged groups, veterans, the disabled, the list goes on and on. They're really just trying to check the box. We have all these programs, but we're still not necessarily meeting the mark in terms of participatory rates, right? So yes, they'll teach you how to get your certification, but are they teaching you how to be a shark? Are they teaching you how to be a lion, how to become a predator, how to stalk your prey, and how to win big bids? They're not. It's funny because, you can do something under the guise of I'm helping you, and you're not providing any help whatsoever. They're telling you the bare minimum basics of these programs. And there were people in Congress that had to petition to get these programs established. But guess what? There's a whole other group of people that don't want these programs to even exist. And so I asked the question, is the government going to teach you how to take full advantage of the government? They're not. Just like how they didn't teach you in public school about the two most important components in life, even right down to your religion. You bought religion. Someone sold it to you, and you bought it. So buying and selling is not a bad thing, okay? Buying and selling is the reason why the world goes around. It's the reason why the world turns. You go to work every day. Now, you might not be a salesman, but there is a salesman that operates within the corporation that you work for, selling the services that other people buy so that you can have a paycheck that comes in every week or every other week. I don't even understand why some of these basics in life are not being taught. They're not being taught. Why? Because if you understood how to buy and if you understood how to sell, you would never allow someone to force you in a seat to become an employee. And also, you would never allow your small business to fail because you would have seen and understood the world of possibilities. They'll teach you about history and Napoleon Bonaparte. What does that have to do with your bottom line? How is that going to help you to grow? If you understand the game, you will understand that public education was never designed with you in mind. It was never designed to help you grow and scale your business. Absolutely not. It was designed for you to work for large corporations. And a lot of small business owners already know this, but they either haven't been willing to be in the game long enough, to fail long enough to learn how to grow, or they're not willing to invest in the tools needed to help them to grow and scale their business. So with that, I'm not going to talk you to death, but I want to invite you. This is a personal invitation from me to you to invite you to our Win Big Bids launch party that we will be having September 25th, 2025, starting at 6 p.m. sharp for those of you who pre-order the book. And at 7 o'clock, we're going to be doing a masterclass. So I'll be answering all your questions in VIP about whatever challenges that you're having within your business and how, industries, we'll be talking about different industries, how to grow and scale. We'll be talking about AI. I am going to share so much. Why would Alison ever do this? Because I never want another woman again to struggle with the idea that they cannot take care of their family, that they can't help their family. I don't want another minority. I don't want another vet going through the pains of serving your country and then being denied access to serve or access to gain, right? Denied access to gain wealth in this country. My goal ultimately is to serve, and I want to hear I want to hear your feedback. I want for you to come back with your testimonials and share with the world and say, yes, these Win Big Bid playbooks, they work, and they work quickly. All right. You need money in your pocket within the next 30, 45 days. The goal of all of these playbooks were designed to help you to scale and to scale quickly. Now, there are pros and cons to different ways of winning bids, and we'll talk all about that. And there's different ways in which you can do it. Now, we only have a couple hours to do this, but my goal is to inspire entrepreneurs from all over the country to come under one roof and to talk about the challenges that you see and the challenges that you face. And ultimately, with the ultimate goal of encouraging you to win and to win big. There are always naysayers. And there are always those that say, oh, you know, this is a scam, or, oh, this is not going to work. I'm so glad that when I started my journey, I actually didn't tell anybody what it is that I was doing. And the reason for that is if I failed, then nobody has to know, right? I wouldn't have to go through the embarrassment of failure. And the truth is, and my friends will tell you, none of my friends, not even my parents knew. No one knew what I was doing. No one knew how much money I was making. And in large part, I thought, you know, this was straight up illegal. Even though I was working with the government, my life had changed so quickly. I went from being like unemployed, scared and concerned about whatever the next steps were. Like, people tend to think walking in faith is just like you're fearless and you're just, no. Walking in faith means that you are denying what your flesh is trying to teach you is real. And I had to ignore what my flesh was telling me. I was doing something for the first time ever. I was having heart palpitations. When you get a $25,000 check, when you get your first $100,000 check, when you get your first $1 million check, it doesn't feel real because you're in essence the same person, just with maybe some more funds. And anytime you take the leap, like we're taking the leap in faith to make this our primary focus, that is sweet on this side of the fence. And the same leaders that you see every day that are trying to discourage you from walking that path, they've been eating from these trees for generations, for eons. And any sort of attempt to deny you that opportunity should force all of us to fight for it even more. I am not a political person. I do exist in political places. Just like Daniel. Daniel was not a political person, but he was put in political places. It is our responsibility to shine our light bright, no matter what bully is wherever telling us that we should or shouldn't do anything. So I just want you to put some thought into this. We have put a lot of thought behind this, and we're doing our best to encourage, to motivate you, to show you that the opportunities out there are real, and we're giving a lot of information away for free. The book, people pay me $50,000 to join our executive wing program, and the book contains, in essence, the meat of a lot of what I teach. The executive wing program, ultimately, it gives, you know, my clients an opportunity to have more proximity to me, and that's where I teach. But if you don't have that, right? If you cannot afford to be able to participate in our executive wing or our Win Big Bids family program or anything other than that, get the book. Book is $24.97. And when you pre-order it, you'll actually get access to all of the bonuses that we'll have during our pre-launch party. And I could give you a hint, one of which is Alex Hormozi's $100 million Money Models book. And we'll be giving that away to the first 200 participants that sign up. You might just have to pay for shipping and handling for us to send that out to you. But I'm just here to share with you that we live in the greatest country in the world. And for those of you who are around the world, people win bids all around the world. So these principles are not just only applicable. I talk to the American audience. However, these principles are not just applicable in America. Negotiation tactics and standards are the same all around the world, no matter where you go. If you want to be good at negotiations, pick up this book and go to chapter 9 and learn all about what it takes to win big and through negotiations.